Hey friends, I am leaving the WOWSA wellness event and my goodness, it was so good. I have to admit, when I was up speaking, there was a few key things that I forgot to say with regards to my nutrition, with the regards to diet. I don't like using that word because it's a fad word. And what I forgot to mention is loving yourself enough to trust yourself in all areas of your life. So with your food, with your sleep, with your energy, meaning how you're feeling, everything. It all encompasses together. And the more you sink deep within yourself, the more you realize what your truth is. It doesn't matter what anyone else's truth is. It doesn't matter what anyone else's choices are. For example, today at the event, amazing healthy lunch cooked, and the old me would have been terrified to ask questions. Is there dairy? Is there cow's dairy in any of this food? And the one piece of chicken, they had a vegetarian option and they had a meat option, which was awesome. The meat option had cheese on it, which normally, me 2 years ago, I would have been all over it because I ate a lot of cheese. I love cheese. I asked the question about the coleslaw, which was the side before. Is there any, and a friend of mine who I was with, she was asking the questions as well. Is there anything, she was looking specifically for garlic, which garlic can trigger me as well at times. And so then I asked the question for the coleslaw, is there any dairy in it? And there wasn't, thankfully, which was awesome. But then the next thing to pick was either the chicken or the eggplant parmesan. So in that moment, I would have just, this is what I can have. I'm fine with that. There was also rice. I know I can have rice. The cook actually had a piece of chicken in the back that had nothing on it. So that's what my friend and I split, because she has to be careful with garlic. So it was just interesting that, you know, we could have suffered in silence. We could have said, fuck it, we're not going to rock the boat. Oh, people on four-wheelers, which is awesome. Side-by-siding is a favorite pastime of mine. We could have said nothing, and then we would have missed out on the protein that we could have had. So always sink into you. Always sink into your truth. Don't think about everyone else and you might be an inconvenience. That's what I used to think about. That I would suffer because I didn't want to hurt someone else's feelings or feel like an inconvenience. But what was I doing in that moment? I was putting myself last. So instead of worrying about hurting their feelings, I was then choosing to put myself last and hurt my feelings. Because then later, I would not feel comfortable because I would have reactions to the food. For example, so quick little breakdown, I have sensitivities and allergies to sulfites, which is in wine, which is also in balsamic vinegar. I have gotten really, really good at reading labels, dissecting information. Corn is another one, and corn can be named a whole bunch of different things, like dextrose can also mean corn, so that kind of sucks. But once you realize what your truth is and what you need to do, it doesn't matter, because now that I feel good, and when I started losing weight, I would get comments of, you're so skinny. It has never, ever been about being skinny. It's about feeling good, loving my body and feeling good. The other thing is, so the other dairy, well, cow's dairy, peanuts, tomatoes. So when I had mentioned about that there was a eggplant parmesan, I also have an allergy allergy to wheat. So it gets really fucking interesting. Ham can't just go order a pizza. If I want pizza, I make my own sourdough dough, which you can't use then until the next day. So it's a planning ahead. I use the sourdough bread dough for pizza. And then I have a red pepper sauce that I put on it, which also has eggplants in it, actually. And I can't use cow's dairy, which is totally fine, because my husband has the same sensitivity. And since he has cleaned up his diet, his eczema that he had that would take over his body is pretty much non-existent. Which, in saying that, stuff is changing in our foods. Because when we first got married, we ate all the cheese and his body did not react like it is. It's been since, 2015, he had a horrible reaction. So I'd say the past 10 years has been the past 10 years, but the 8 years before. So the last year and a half has been way better for him. So like 9 years, I guess. But it's easier for us now because he can't have cow's dairy either. He's fine with tomatoes. He's fine with wheat. But he loves the pizza that I make, which is awesome. My son does too, which is cool. So it's setting aside the convenience and sinking into the truth. And sometimes it means, you can't order pizza. Or when you're going out to eat, a lot of times I have to look up the menu online for multiple places and, okay, what can I eat? Kind of like if you're a vegetarian, you want to make sure there's the options for you to have. So it's really sinking in, and it's really learning what your truths are and what really, really matters to you and in your life. Very bumpy part of the road here. There we go. Anyway, so the other thing I wanted to say along the lines of trusting yourself and loving yourself more than you ever have in your life. As parents, it's easy to put our children first. Obviously, we want to put our children first in a lot of situations. But when we're putting other people ahead of ourselves, that is where it's detrimental to our health. And that's what I found going through infertility, which I also forgot to mention, but going through infertility, really being ignorant towards my body and towards my health, knowing what I should do, like my intuition, was telling me what to do. Diagnosed with PCOS, diagnosed with hypothyroidism, been dealing with IBS for years. The best thing I ever did was sink into my truth and my knowing to then learn to love myself. And it wasn't until it was either late 2021 or early 2022 that it was late 2021 when, after I hurt myself exercising, and I got out of the shower one day and I was standing in front of the mirror, which if you want to do really in-depth work on yourself, stand in the front of the mirror and look yourself in the eyes. Stand in front of the mirror and look at your entire body. And I know many people hearing this are going to be like, whoa, nope, cannot do that, not doing that under any circumstance. I hate my body. That was me. 100% was me. After going through infertility, had a good pregnancy with my son. After a wee little scare at the beginning, had good pregnancy, horrible back labor, and then ended up in an emergency C-section. It was just a horrible situation that I wish I had have dealt with better after he was born, and I didn't. I just got into the doing mode. Heather Reeves is amazing. She was also there today, and she spoke a lot about the doing mode. That a lot of times we feel like we have to be doing and doing and doing. Or if we run into someone and they're like, oh, how are you? Oh, I've been so busy. Remove that from your mind. Downtime is so fucking key. It's not even funny. I began pouring love into me. So after having my son, I had a C-section, and I hated my body even more because, first of all, my body would not let me get pregnant. Well, newsflash, if you don't listen to your body, there was things my body wanted me to change. I see it now. I am in a much healthier and happier place. I see it now. Once I started pouring love into my body, I started rubbing my C-section scar and saying, I love you. Thank you for carrying my children. Thank you for birthing one of my children. Thank you for keeping them safe. Like, above everything else, thank you, body, for allowing me to be the mother that I always wanted to be. Thank you. And I would literally pour love all over my C-section scar. And no word of a lie, it started melting away. It really did. It, honest to God, started melting away. It was absolutely incredible. Now, obviously, I still, like, you need to do the work. But there's so much emotional work and emotional health behind every fucking physical thing we feel. And maybe it's good I didn't talk about this because I get really passionate about it, and because I can see the truth now. When you actually allow yourself to deeply feel, and here's the thing, the year that so I've also had a hysterectomy, so I've had more than 2 major surgeries. I had a breast reduction at 18. They grew back. So obviously my body wants to be a certain way. After every major surgery, I've had lapro, where they go in at your belly button. I've had that done multiple times as well. I did not deal with any of the emotional health with regards to that. I know that was part of the problem. The less you deal with it, the more it pushes down. You think, oh, I'm fine, I've dealt with it. Nope. Unless you truly get to the bottom of how you feel. You need to feel to heal. That is the key factor. If you don't feel and you literally numb yourself, well, let's think of that. That's when addictions happen, and it can be various. I had an emotional eating problem for fucking years, and it started in early teens. And then you think of, like, we had a teacher there today as well who's now moved on to something else because of COVID. And I saw a meme the other day, and it was like, oh, no wonder. I know now where my anxiety came from. Not wanting to ask to go to the bathroom because you need a teacher's permission to go to the bathroom when you're in school, right? Normal life in your home, you don't ask your parents, unless you're a little kid, obviously, but you don't ask your parents if you can go to the bathroom, you just go. If you're at work, you don't ask your boss if you can go to the bathroom, you just go. So it's interesting how it's the compound effect, big time. 100% it's a compound effect, which is also a great book. How we build on what we do and how we react and what we do. It's interesting. It's really interesting. So the more authentic you can be to yourself, the more healthier you'll be, the more richness you'll have in your life. And that's not saying, like, I write down I am rich every day. Not every day, but a lot of days. It has nothing to do with money. It's, I have a rich life. I love my life. I love the way everything has panned out. And obviously, like, I don't want to say everything happens for a reason, but everything does happen for a reason, even the shitty stuff. And trust me, I've been through some really shitty times. About 12 years ago, it was probably one of the hardest years of my life. And it wasn't one specific thing. It was various things. It was highs, it was lows, it was deep lows, it was fuckery. I've been through some hard times. It's not about comparing my hard times to your hard times. It's about leaning in again to your truth and finding out what does your hard time mean for you? What does that mean for you? Do you need to shift something to get out of that? As Annie said as our first presentation, we all have the same amount of time. Energy is one of our greatest currencies, 100%, because our energy, our intention, and for me, honestly, if I start my day with social media, I have lost a lot of my focus for the day, which sounds crazy to some people, but when you're sensitive to energy like I am, I'm an intuitive, I'm an empath, I am very sensitive to energy. If I do not shower at night before I go to bed, which one of my previous videos I talked about that, the one night, I think it was the night before, I hadn't showered and before going to bed, and I had a horrible sleep, an absolute horrible sleep. I was up and down. I had crazy dreams, which could have been astrological stuff going on too, but I have found the more I sink into me, which my truth is, I need to clear my energy every night. I need to. That is a truth, and that is okay, because that is for me. That is my truth. So when I shower every night, I am literally washing off the energy of the day, and I can sleep better, which I also forgot to mention during the presentation. So I'm feeling really full right now. My heart is full. It was a beautiful day. We had yoga movement, we had meditation, we had great food, great community, which I missed for 2.5 years, which was crazy. So embrace where you're at and love yourself. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. No one else. It's all about you. What I did say in my presentation when I was sharing about oils and Reiki and doing the energy work, not everyone's the same. Not everyone's the same. And that's okay, because if we were all the same, it'd be pretty freaking boring, right? We're not all the same. And that's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So I'm excited to kind of finish my presentation like this. I'm going to upload to YouTube and then I'll share it on my blog. So if you have any questions about working with energy, working with essential oils, I'm not doing in-person Reiki treatments with anyone else other than my family at this moment, because I still have 2 family members who are still doing some deep physical healing. So I've realized when I started my Reiki journey 2016, and then I did my Reiki 2 and my Reiki Master during COVID. Some rules you don't follow. Don't. You follow your heart. You follow your heart. In everything that you do, follow your heart first. Anyway. I was kind of hard on myself at first, because it's like, well, you're spending this money and you're not offering this as a service to then make the money back to pay for it. It's not about that. If you feel passionate about something, if you feel drawn to something, don't let any judgment, don't let any of those thoughts creep into your mind. think abundance. How can I live a fucking abundant life that is incredible to me? Reiki has helped me in my health so much. Balancing my chakras, clearing the chakras. It has helped my family so much, especially my husband. 9 times out of 10, at least a few, well, he would have my hands on his leg every single night. Some nights I am feeling more drained. Reiki helps his leg. He's had 3 surgeries. Before the second surgery, he was walking around for a few weeks on a broken leg where the screws were actually touching. He had been told by the doctor who read the x-ray that everything was good and he was doing too much, and he prescribed him anti-inflammatories to go home and take and not do anything. I'm grateful I sunk into my intuition and said, that is not what's going on here. That is not what's going on. And this was huge for me. This was a pivotal point in my life and in my energetic confidence. I knew that what this doctor was telling us was wrong. So I made an appointment with the surgeon, who we also couldn't see for a week and a half. A week later, after the x-ray, my husband got a call from our family doctor saying, someone called you about your x-ray, right? Like, you know you have a broken leg, right? Follow your intuition. Follow your heart. Follow your knowing. As soon as we saw the x-ray, we saw exactly where it was broken. The metal had broke. The bone had shifted. And unfortunately, what happened is it brought on a lot of anger. A lot of anger. A lot of deep anger. Because I had, years ago, multiple, okay, let's try this pill, let's try this pill, let's try this. Oh, what are you talking about? You don't feel good. You're in the normal range. You need to listen to your intuition, to your inner knowing, and that's when you're going to thrive. I totally should have had this in the presentation. Anyway, I am definitely going to upload this, probably falling phone and all. That's what happens. I need to get another case, but anyway, it's all good. I appreciate you listening to this. It's a little bit longer than I thought it was going to be, but I'm really proud to share my story. I'm really proud of the fact that I made a choice to do better in my life for myself and my family. At the time, I did not believe it would actually work. At the time, I did not believe that it would actually work at all. Did not think it would work at all, and it did. By shifting my life, by leaning into me and my truth, I was able to shed 75 pounds, and I feel the best that I have ever felt. And I'm going to be turning 42 this year. So there you go. You're never too young, you're never too old to lean into you and your truth. See ya.